Hi everyone, this is Meg at Chasing Retro. Today I'm going to show you several ways to embellish or decorate a white page or a blank page in your junk journals. Some of them will just be decorations and some of them will be things that you can use to create more journaling space. Number one, use a full magazine image sewn down onto your page. I have an example of this in one of my personal journals. I loved this ad from the 70s for Del Monte canned pineapple. So I saved it in a folder until I had the perfect opportunity to use it. I trimmed it down just enough so that I didn't lose any of the text or image. And then I glued it down with a glue stick. That's the best way to glue down large images without creating the bumpiness that sometimes PVA glue can make. And then I sewed around the edge with a variegated zigzag thread just to make sure that the edges didn't lift up. Now, I keep a running folder of large magazine images and pages that I can pull from at any moment's notice. So say you have a magazine page that is just absolutely spectacular and you want to use the full page in your journal. You can do it singly like this, or you can cut it in half and do a double page spread. So when you turn your book sideways, it looks like the full magazine image. Another thing you can do with a full-size image or magazine page or book page that you want to add to a blank page in your journal is to pick a page that is either a picture that you love, or in this case, it was a write-up that I wanted to save. And what I did is I just sewed along the top to stick it down to the page underneath, and it flips up and you have secret journaling writing space underneath, but then you are able to save the image or the text page that you wanted to attach to your journal. Page idea number 2, a giant shaped die cut or image that is either sewn all the way down to the page or a gap left for a pocket or tuck spot. Here is an example of that in my Sound of Music journal. So I found this image of Maria in a book, like a commemorative book about the movie, and I fussy cut her out, including this little gap right here with her hat. I glued her down onto file folder before I put her in the book. I used a glue stick as well, and sometimes when I do that, I will go back around the edge, just the very edge, and I'll use something like this to glue it down if I'm not going to sew it, just because the glue stick can lift over time, and if you back it with cardstock, you don't want it to separate. Then I glued, using probably Fabri-Tac, a little bit here, a little bit here, so she's flexible and able to move, and so I'm able to tuck things behind her. It's a great way for a white page to have something added to it that's not just another pocket. Number 3, you can either do this one on the back of a white page or on a page of text that you don't mind covering up. The idea is to put on a flip pad. A lot of times we will paper clip these little flip pads, scrap pads, onto a page, but why not go ahead and assemble the flip pad and then glue it or sew it down to the page. That way it completely covers over a boring white page or a page with all black and white text, but then you have something that you can just write on a little bit at a time. You can even rip a sheet off one at a time and use it sort of like a notepad that you rip sheets off of. So a flip pad is a great way to embellish an otherwise boring page in your journal. Idea number 4, fold outs, fold overs, or fold ups. I'm going to show you this in a binder journal that I have, but you can do this in any type of journal. So here is an example where I started with a 12 by 12 page, and then I created a fold out and a fold down. So now I have a lot more journaling space, places to add more pockets and things like that. And the way you do this is you plan ahead by cutting and scoring and folding a larger page. You can also go back and do this to a journal that is not already has, really large pages. You can go back to a page that is fit in your journal already and then use a hinge to hinge a fold out, flip up, flip down, anything you like to do. Here's another example that's not quite as complex. So this one I folded a page up to create the pocket, and then I folded the paper and cut the paper so that I could fold it out. And this also is a little pocket that I created out of illustration from a children's book. So it folds out. This one does not flip up or down, but you have so many different ways that you can make pages interactive, either by cutting them ahead of time and folding them, or adding a hinge and adding it later. That adds extra journaling space and more interactive elements to your journal. Idea number 5 is a spinner using a brad. This is a very small journal that I just created, and I used a circle die cut with a sticker on top, punched a hole and put a brad through it, and so now it rotates. You can lift it up and out of the way for extra journaling space. You can leave the brad on the back, or you can choose this as a excuse to put a pocket or a sticker or washi or something to hide that. It doesn't have to be a small element like this. You can do a full-sized or almost full-sized page, adhere it with a brad, and let it rotate up and out of the way. Idea number 6. Why don't you add some more journaling space by gluing down another page on top of a blank page? Here's an example of what I'm talking about. So this is a fold-out page that I put in a binder, and if you open it, you'll see that I have taken an authentic piece of vintage ledger, which I don't have very much in my stash, but I saved a piece. It was actually already ripped like this. It was found in a book that someone had tucked in like a bookmark. So all I did was I glued it down onto this blank page, and it just gives a little more fun space for journaling that's not plain white when you open this little flip out. Why don't you take that idea and make it go a little bit farther by adding another fun visual interactive element to it? So this is a printout from Johanna Klo on Etsy. It's one of my favorite kits of hers. And if you open it up, you'll see that I have adhered a piece of blue ledger, and I have sort of hidden it behind this closed door, interactive wardrobe style hidden journaling spot, and I've just secured it with a piece of washi tape so it can be opened and closed again and again. When the washi tape gets yucky, you can just switch it out for a new piece. Idea number 7, a collaged page. Here's a journal that I made, oh my goodness, at the very beginning of my junk journal journey, and after putting the page into the book, it was a blank piece of white cardstock. So I just set to work doing a collage, and I used some textured painted paper that I had. I have some washi tape. I have some dictionary page, some scrapbook paper, and some book pages. After I finished this, then I stuck this little trim down as a pocket, but you don't have to do that. You can just collage in your book as sort of an art process, or you can do it as a background. Say you wanted to put a picture or some sort of other element in the center of this, and it just creates visual interest and lots of texture and covers up an otherwise white page like all the other ideas. Idea number 8 is a brayered or card smeared acrylic painted text page. This is not a text page, it's a notebook paper, but you can do this with a book page with a lot of text on it, or music paper. It looks really, really cool. So I just buy regular Apple Barrel brand craft paint at the craft store, and I try to pick colors for each project that sort of match my journals. And I put a couple of dots all over the page, and I use an old credit card to just grab it and smear it. If you have a roller that's called a brayer, you can use that, but I find that a card works just as well. And it allows some of the text to peek through, so it looks really cool, but it also allows you to write on the surface of the paper still, and it sort of cuts down on the busyness of the paper, if you will. You can also put gesso over text page. I do not have a picture of that to show you, but we will call that idea number 9. Gesso is just a medium that prepares a surface for painting, but you can use it sort of as a whitewash, and you can also buy it in black to sort of put over a text page. You don't have to paint the entire page. You can just do a circle or haphazard brush marks, and it gives you a space to journal and covers up any text that might interfere with your work. Idea number 10. I don't have an actual journal to show you with this idea because the ones that I made with it have all sold and gone on to their new owners. But I will insert a screenshot here of the flip through showing this idea. This is just to take a plain piece of paper and sew small fabric scraps around the outside. I didn't glue them down first, I just sort of laid them where I wanted on the page, and I took it over to my sewing machine and I put a decorative stitch. You could just do a zigzag or a curvy stitch, and you go around and you sew those little pieces of fabric down. Let some of them overhang the edge of the page too. That's always very interesting. And it provides a really cool frame for a journaling page and saves an otherwise plain page from being super boring. Idea number 11. Staccato pockets. And I don't think this is a phrase that anyone else has ever used, but it's what I think about when I think about this type of pocket. So here's an example from the teddy bear journal that I made. This one has 2 small pockets, but you could make them smaller and fit more onto a page. The reason I call them staccato pockets because it reminds me of a staccato piano key where it would go dun, 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 dun. Just 4 little tiny pockets that may hold only 1 or 2 items. They can literally be half this width and half this height. It's just really cute to sort of space them out like this haphazard on a page. It's great for small pictures or tickets or just teeny tiny tags that you want to tuck into a journal. Last but not least, idea number 12 is sequins sewn down onto a page. So I don't have this one in a journal yet. These are going in some journals that I'm currently making, but I just used a curvy stitch that I spread way out, and I used fun hot pink thread. And along the way, as my sewing machine went along, I put a large sequin underneath the track of the needle. Now you need to be careful. Sometimes sewing machines do not like sewing on sequins. Mine makes kind of an angry noise when it hits one, so be careful, be prepared. Maybe wear glasses in case the needle breaks and have an extra needle on hand. But I just think this makes a really fun page in the journal. Now I try to make it so that I don't put a sequin right where the page folds. Sometimes I get a little off. So here. Now I have it a little bit off, but that's fine. And it allows visual interest and something fun along the edge of a page. I hope this gave you some more ideas on how to use elements that you may have to decorate and jazz up pages that you have. Ideas on how to cover a boring or white page or maybe an all text page in your journals. If you would like to, I have another video on page ideas that I will link below, and I hope you have a great day. Talk to you next time.